Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Volta TST. Again, sorry if there was a waiting room. I'll make sure to update the link with the proper password in there so you guys can join immediately. It's a policy change that happened, I guess, yesterday or the day before at Zoom. Make sure to go through all the meetings that we have for the brigades too. And if you're a brigade lead, please do that within yours to include the password in the link so people that have it can immediately join without having to wait in the waiting room, and claim host immediately, and then if somebody's waiting, just admit them. Having said that, so what's the status of Volta 2.5? We spent the last 2 weeks investigating some few things that were discovered as bugs during our nightly regression testing. We got most of them sorted out, and the tests look a lot better on 2.5. If you look at the 2.x tests, the 2.5 tests are now actually showing passing on the 2.5. So we're much more confident in the release. We're still targeting our release between around tomorrow, which is the 30th of September, and that's what we wanted to achieve. And I don't have anything to add to that. Master has been open since 2 weeks, so I think we are in good shape to make the release and continue on 2.6, which will have a lot other features. I guess, Suraf, anybody wants to add anything to this?
No, I don't have anything more to add.
Sounds good. Any questions on the status of 2.5? Okay, then if not, you guys will see as usual the documentation uploaded to the docs.volta.org website, and we will put out the release notes as we usually do, and you guys can see what was achieved during this release. Okay, perfect. So next up is a fundamental topic that was discussed a while back during the Volta virtual work week that we had sometime back before the release of 2.4. That is the software upgrade of the Volta stack and the different software components that make a Volta stack. And David did a great work in putting together a document that highlights this. So without further ado, David, do you mind taking over and giving us a brief run-up of this and where we stand and what are the next steps?
Sure. Sorry, I am a little out of sync. So, okay, Volta software upgrades and stacks. So, I'm gonna have to read this as I go. You know what? This is not gonna happen today. I apologize. This is just not gonna happen today. Andrea, can you just kind of go over this? I can answer questions, but I'm not going to be able to read through it, I don't think.
Okay. I didn't put it on the agenda, but I can go.
Actually, I did, yeah. So I should have alerted David a little earlier. That's all right. Yeah, maybe we can just move on to the next topic.
Sure. The one thing I would suggest everybody is to put this document on the radar. It just goes through all the upgrade process that we will need to do for upgrading the Volta stack, both Volta components, Onu components, what is considered to be an upgrade process, and all the testing and verification that needs to happen. So it's in the agenda, it's here. And please do take a look at it. Any comments are more than welcome. There are some already from Ken, from Jordan on the Onu side, myself, Manuel and others. So please do make sure to take a look at the document and provide some comments. This is a 2.6 target, so I would very much like to finish the design process of this in the upcoming weeks, and most likely scheduled a more definitive call on this on the next TST. Would that work, David?
Next Tuesday?
Tuesday, yes.
All right, sure.
Let me check which one it is. The 6th.
Tentatively, that should work.
Is that a yes or no?
Yes, tentatively.
Good. I'll put it there. In the meantime, I think it would very much speed up discussion if everybody read this and had at least an idea of what the document talks about. So it comes more prepared for a better discussion next week on the different topics. I think that's fundamental. So please do take a look at the document. It's in the same, you can read it. The link is there and you can go forward on it. Okay. Any questions?
So, Andrea, I'm wondering if the topic is not on the document, but perhaps we can go through the Volta 2.6 roadmap.
Oh yes.
I started to put something together. It's actually on Drive, and we can get a general feeling of what people think about all the things that we have
yes.
slated for 2.6.
Let me fetch that.
Sure.
There it is.
Yeah.
And for anybody, again, the same. Just putting in the link here so you can read it at whatever time it's more convenient for you, and provide feedback and comments. So, let you sort of take the lead on this.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. So, a lot of these things we've actually gone through design work in this last 1 or 2 months. So the actual implementation isn't part of Volta 2.5, but will be part of 2.6. So okay, let's just go through line by line. So the first line, of course, is the device management interface. We're looking at a first release of that, sort of coinciding with the Volta release, and there is some test work that is going on from Adtran right now around the DM interface, but we expect that the test work would be contributed upstream. And I actually let Andrea Ramit talk about that. Andrea?
So yes, so the release you mentioned has already happened as of yesterday. We do have a 0.9.0 release, which includes everything up to this point. And we wanted to do it now before introducing any of the logging changes, in order to have a good stable point that can be used to develop the mock implementation, which Amit and the rest of the Radisys team is working on VBSim. So we will have, as part of the 2.6 release, DM interface implementation on VBSim, with the caveat that is a one-to-one mapping between an OLT and his device manager. But for all intents and purposes, that will not impede any of the things that we want to do with the interface mock, which is testing, basically. So these tests will, I'll talk to Adrian in the person of Uwe especially, and make sure that they are upstream and they are getting tested against this implementation on vBSIM. I'm actually going to remove the mock because it's going to be a full-on implementation with the reference to the existing vBSIM code. For example, I was discussing with Amit, and then I'll let him intervene if there is anything else that he wants to add. But for example, the number of ports that are reported by the device manager interface will be the same as the one that vBSIM reports. So there is
right.
interaction of the code bases.
But some things will be marked, right? You know, fans and LEDs and whatever, right?
Yeah, exactly. Things that are not tied to the broadband data path, vBSIM side of things would be mocked.
Sure.
Amit, anything to add?
No, Andrea, you've summarized it well. That's fine.
And the logging discussion is going on. What we have is we have decided to split it into two things. One is the endpoints of where the logs are getting sent at. And that is, for example, something that is already implemented and was already shown by Infosys with the ELK stack. And also the log levels. The log levels are something that the discussion is going on. I have the requirements from the operators, but there needs to be a little back and forth between the people that are working on it. So it's going on. I think we will have a pretty good working solution with an implementation, a reference implementation for 2.6. Any questions?
Why don't you take the next one too?
Yeah, I was about to say, yes. So this is the move to the Golang OpenOMCI library and the OpenU adapter written in Go. There's a lot of great work that has been done, especially by Adrian with Holger and Michael that have done great work, and Torsten with the tests. What we have achieved right now is that we have the Deutsche Telekom and AT&T workflows running through the OpenONU Go adapter sanity test, purely the sanity test, as of yesterday. The Turk Telecom workflow is not yet implemented because it needs some more MEs and some other things that need to be created, but Odsge from Manetza is working on it. So we have a pretty good state at the moment, and we're going to tackle in 2.6 especially error scenarios, and we're going to make sure that everything works fine, because we are targeting complete working implementation, swappable from the Python adapter within 2.6. The point that was made on this roadmap that the tests could take a little longer is because at a certain point in time, and I would like to start this earlier, as soon as we release 2.5, we need to start testing the OpenONU adapter also on hardware. I know Adtran is actually having a test pod within their labs that will test the OpenONU Go adapter with their hardware. So it's not just the alphas and the Zircoms that and the Iskatels that we test upstream, but it's going to be tested also on the Adtran hardware within their lab. But we need to make sure that this OpenONU Go passes all the 30 plus tests that we are having, as I was showing before. So we need to make sure that it's going to pass these 30 plus the ones we add during the 2.6 release. So that's why there's just a little question mark on the tests, but I'm pretty confident that we can make it into 2.6. That was all. Any questions on the OpenONU Go adapter?
No, just a clarification. You mentioned the number 30, and that may be the number of tests that are in one job. But you know, every job is different, tries different tech profiles, different workflows, and so on. So actually, the total number of tests is well over 100.
Yes.
You know, right?
Indeed. Yeah, so this is what I meant was that it needs to pass actually all of these.
Correct. Yeah.
We have to build additional jobs with the Go version, and the Go version needs to be green in all of them, as it is the Python version. Don't look at the thing.
Right.
That is the point. For it to be considered for the swap to the Python version. The numbers are looking very, very promising. If anybody is interested, you can find within the scale tests. We need to update this, but an activation of 16 PON ports by 64 ONUs, and it takes just a minute from start to end. And you can come to the Scalability Brigade to know more about this, but it actually takes 50 seconds from start to port discovery into Onus with just one adapter. So the numbers are really, really promising. We need to update this with the flows now that we have the Deutsche Telekom and AT&T workflows running, but we're pretty confident that we'll make a huge improvement, and we're not going to need 8 or a certain number of ONU adapters to achieve the scale that we are achieving right now. Okay, that was all on this.
Okay, thanks, Andre. So we do seem to have a few Jira tasks for logging that are still there on Jira. David, did you get a chance to look at those? I just put it over here so that I don't forget about it, but
no, I haven't had a chance yet. No.
Okay. Yeah, they're probably not that involved, but it's good to just have a look at the ones that we have on Jira right now.
Yeah, the one logging one that I've been a little bit aware of would be the flow ID logging Jira out there. The original Jira was to make sure flow IDs are logged as hex, not as ints, just to be consistent. And
right.
There was a problem around that because the actual logging method being used to output the flows is an internal gRPC method, and you can't really modify it. So then comes the question: is do we modify the vOLTHA to output its flow IDs as integers to be consistent, so that you can at least correlate the logs with vOLTHA? But that's sort of an API change at some level, particularly if testing scripts are relying on those being hex.
I think we look at flows in ONOS, the testing scripts. Actually, Suchitra's online. I don't think we look at Volta flows, do we, from vOLTHA? Or maybe we do. I don't know. Suchitra, are you online?
So I think even if we look at the flows in vOLTHA, we are not like looking at IDs of the flows. We may be looking at tags and PBT.
Right, we're just grepping for tags and things that we're trying to make sure that it's there. Right, I see.
Okay. Are we okay with the flow table showing ints, not hex, for flow IDs?
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I think as long as we display the same format in both places, it's okay.
And these flow IDs are Volta generated, right? You're not using
correct
anything sent over from ONOS, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Then it's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Great. Next topic was Mac learning. So working with Netsia, we have in this 2.5 timeframe, we came up with a design of how ONOS should learn MAC addresses and then use that information in the OLT app to program flows where the same VLANs for certain services in the TT workflow, the same VLANs are used for all subscribers. So the only way to differentiate them downstream is to use MAC addresses that are learnt. These are RG MAC addresses. So we've come up with the design. We've started the implementation. Netsia has pushed. Actually, that patch has also merged from for the Mac Learning app. It's a new app, but there's still work left in that app to make it performant, and also to have the OLT app react to the events created by the Mac Learning app. So there is some work left over there, but we're very confident it'll get done in the 2.6 timeframe. Next thing was OLT agent to OLT adapter communication security. Andrea, you know more about this?
Yeah, so the idea is that we need to secure the communication between the two, and it's a gRPC connection. And that is what started us on the how to get certificates within the Volta system. I started some investigation on the certificate manager. I deployed it, but then the 2.5 release got precedence on that, so I plan to continue there. When that is done and it's capable of distributing certificates, the idea is to just mount them within the OpenOLT adapter. And then that certificate needs to be somehow also distributed to the OpenOLT agent. I need to talk to Girish about that. There are some Jira about this. If you guys are interested in precise points of the code that need to be changed, just look on Jira. You can find them. It's once the design phase of how to get certificates is complete, it is a very simple thing to do. It's going to be turned on or off at the startup time of both the OpenOLT agent and the OpenOLT adapter.
So Andrea, I had a quick question at something that came up for me in other work, and that is the subject names inside of certificates. We have a thing here where subject names are verified. They have to match the machine you're contacting. And when pod names were automatically generated, these names would have to change. I was wondering if you're going to be facing the same challenge. Do you have to put names inside of your certificates for your services, and will those have to match the deployed names of the pods, or is there a way that these systems you're looking at get you around having to fiddle with that stuff?
I have to be blatantly honest here, Scott, and say I have no idea yet.
Okay.
So it might very well be that we will hit those problems. And I think we do have some discussion within ONF to share some of the knowledge that you guys already have with the Ether team about this. So I'll be very glad to join there, and we're going to come up with something. It might be that we need to make some changes to other parts of the system. It's just too early to say in this context.
Okay, great, thanks. I was just curious if you'd already crossed that bridge, but that's something we can talk about in the coming weeks.
I think we have to, yes.
Okay, thanks a lot, Andrea.
Thanks.
Scott, our plan is waiting for you to cross that bridge and then come asking for help.
Hey, I'm demoing it next week, and I've just made sure that the pod name is correct and matches the certificate.
Oh, okay, good.
Well, I mean, that's just a hack. That's one-off. But yeah, it just popped up something for me that I hadn't thought of. That you put a chart inside of another chart, all the names change, the certificates are all wrong, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. The one really big ticket item is software upgrades, and there's various parts to it. First, the OLT software upgrade is something that we decided will be handled by through the device management interface, as opposed to being handled through Volta. So the DM interface, you've heard about it, and it's going through inclusion into the interface and the tests and the various mocks and so on. So that's under control. And as you can see over there, Antran is going to demo it in the, I guess on this Friday's brigade call. And then, Edge Code is implementing it for their hardware as well, yeah.
There is something else that I want to add. There is a bunch of scripts that, thanks to Radisys, they were updated. They were created and uploaded to the OpenOLT agent repo. There's a review that needs to be reviewed by myself, Girish, and others. That includes all the scripts that are actually used to perform an update on the EdgeCore OLT. And it's this patch over here. I'm just going to post it. But this is not yet plumbed through the device management interface. So this is just a way to start it. And it's a way that performs the update. But given the fact that we are under discussion with EdgeCore on the best way for them to implement the device management interface, and there are a lot of business discussions related to that too, this does perform the update, just not yet through the DMI interface.
Okay, got it.
Please do take a look at the patch whenever you have some time.
Wonderful. Okay, the other part of the software upgrade is the ONU software upgrade. And that necessarily has, right now it's going to be triggered through Volta. There's actually, we did have a big discussion in a TST only call, not on the public calls yet. There's a link over there to the presentation from Amit. And so Radisys is working on this or intends to start working in the 2.6 timeframe. Once they have some initial results, we will publish that. We'll talk about it in the public TST call. Amit, anything more to share there?
Yeah. We will be working on this in the 2.6 timeframe. Yeah.
Cool. And then, of course, the Volta stack and ONOS upgrades, and David will, we've already talked about the design document. We'll discuss it some more. This is one place where the design is not quite complete, but hopefully we will make some really good progress in the coming weeks. Okay, the next line item is another thing that we've been putting off because it's a fairly big change to the way Volta operates when OLTs get rebooted, right? So the thing is that you lose the connectivity from Volta to the OLT. And at that point, you don't really know whether the OLT has truly rebooted or whether there is a loss of some networking between the OLT and Volta. So we have come up with a design which upon reconnection or re-establishment of connectivity from Volta to the OLT, we should have a way to determine whether the OLT has truly rebooted and take the necessary steps through the Volta stack and ONOS to handle the two different situations. So that's also work that will happen in the 2.6 timeframe. Next line item is basically about error handling in transactions between Volta Core and the adapters. We had this discussion a few weeks back. Ken went through his document, various cases, and I think we know what we want to do. So that's stuff that we will be doing in the 2.6 timeframe. Ken, anything to add there?
No, but then the work has already started.
Right. So, and the next item is redoing kind Volta to be Helm-like. That's been on David's list for a while. We punted it because really 2.5 didn't have that bandwidth. We didn't have the bandwidth to work on that. That's something we may work on in 2.6. David, anything you want to add there?
No, again, the real issue around that one was pushing configs, right? Starting up the charts or starting up the containers is the easy part of that. Understanding how to then push configurations to Onus is the hard part. And that might turn into perhaps additional charts or job templates within charts to manage that.
Right.
So is there a, I'm not sure this is entirely related, but is there a plan to also get away from the Volta Onus and integrate the loading of the apps into kind Volta? So we don't have to have a specific image.
Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah.
Do you mean how load the apps dynamically?
Yeah, because that's basically what the Volta Onus container does. It just preloads the apps.
So Theo, that has been on my mind since some time. Just that it's fairly low priority, and if something else comes up, I just don't do it. There's a little bit more than that because there's a few other things that the Volta Onus image does. For example, it does have a few parameters that the base Onus image doesn't already included, but there's minor things. It's just I have a long-lasting personal list of things among which this resides. It's just I never got the time to do it.
The kind Volta script today can be configured to load apps dynamically already. That can be done if you put them in the folder.
The thing I think is just we need to update some of our testing infrastructure also.
Well, if we change kind Volta, we'll need to update all the testing infrastructure anyway.
Yeah, it might make sense to do the two together. Yes.
Okay, moving on. Actually, the next item which says trap handling in OpenVOLT agent and BAL, that's actually done in 2.5. So yeah, so we can just remove that. Yeah, we had too many failures. So we took the action to change the way traps look like both in ONOS and then through the Volta stack down to the agent. So I think we're good over there. Oh, now I remember why I put it in there. There was some additional work we thought we could do regarding the traps to put some VLAN information in the traps. So actually we should add that back, Andrea, sorry. We'll consider that. Girish and I have some ideas. So those, I think I put it in that Jira 3464. And
are you talking about the limited ACLs available on the BAL?
Yeah, the limited ACLs, but still, you know, so we get unwanted traffic, right? Unwanted traffic. So we were thinking, right, that empirically we could put in the VLAN based trap rules that will avoid some of that unwanted traffic, or have the agent reject some of that unwanted traffic. You remember that discussion?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, okay. That's why it's still in there.
Sounds good.
All right, great. So feature-wise, this is the list. It's a big list, but you know, all useful things to have, necessary things to have in some cases.
Should we also document the enhancements that we are doing over the OpenOLT proto interface to pass down the replication, or you know? That...
Yeah, that's actually mentioned under scale.
Okay.
So if you look at the bottom of the page, it says single stack improvements, OpenOLT agents, scale improvements necessary. Okay, I don't know what that means, but where does that link take you? Yeah, that is basically pointing to your scale testing infrastructure, where you change the OpenOLT scale tester to do not just scale testing, but performance testing. And so all the agent changes that you've made, plus the change where the OpenOLT adapter is not doing the replication. It's the agent that's doing it. So that's all part of that discussion. Okay, so since we started talking about scale, I might as well mention this 10K ONU number that I've put in there. It's time to scale up. This is where we'll be doing multiple stacks and getting an idea about how well we are doing when we go from the 1K number that we have right now to 10 times that number. It's aggressive, but it's something that we have need to take on. And then some things that have sort of stayed over from 2.5 timeframe. Most of our scale numbers are still with etcd running in memory, not persisted. So we need to revisit that. And also the sizing matrix is something that we started working on. We created the jobs for it, but we haven't paid close attention to it, mainly because in the 2.5 timeframe, we were consumed with working out the kinks in the Turk Telecom workflow and having that implemented in BBSIM and so on, so we can perform scale measurements on it. So that sizing matrix part we will have to revisit. So any question on what's listed under scale? Okay, so the section I jumped over is the test work, and our TT workflow-based tests continue to be less in number than we would ideally like compared to the DT and AT&T workflows. So it remains a question of resources. We do need help here. We hope that in the 2.6 timeframe that help does come. Our nightly regression testing is still based on a single OLT, but in our Berlin pod, we have the capability to create tests that create regression tests that work with 2 OLTs at the same time. So, you know, test things like if one OLT goes down in operation and it's connected to the same Volta stack as another OLT, then it shouldn't affect the other OLT. Logically, it shouldn't, but needs to be tested. So that's something that we do want to bring in as part of our regression testing infrastructure. That requires some changes to test framework. That work is ongoing. We started that work, Suchitra started that work in the 2.5 timeframe. It needs to be brought in into our regression testing. That should happen fairly quickly in the 2.6 timeframe. Again, soak testing is something also we started in the 2.5 timeframe. We have that working on a hardware pod, but we need to, and we have some tests that go on. I think we have a soak that has been going on for 3 weeks right now. We wanted to learn from it. But in addition to the hardware, we also wanted to bring up BBSim and actually stress the stack a little bit more. Otherwise, the soak is somewhat meaningless if you only have, a couple of ONUs and an OLT. Soaking should be okay. It'll last forever. But, with some sizable number of OLTs or at least ONUs, the soak will be more meaningful. So this first soak that we've had ongoing for 3 weeks, that was just a test run, and we need to return to that and put some more load on the system and restart the soak. So that's again things that were started in the 2.5 timeframe, but we need to continue in 2.6. And finally, in 2.5, we did spend a lot of time, having the Turk Telecom workflow be sort of working in BBSim, and then performing scale tests against it. We are doing pretty well, very close to having it working for, say, 1 OLT and 512 ONUs. The Turk Telecom workflow is, there's multiple services for every subscriber. So that means, in the AT&T workflow, there's like 6 flows for a subscriber, and DT workflow, there's 4 flows for a subscriber. In the Turk Telecom workflow, there's 17 flows per a subscriber. So it's 3 times the number of flows. So even if you have the same number of subscribers, there's actually 3 times the pressure. So we're close, not quite there yet, but that's the status as of today. And I'm pretty sure that within a few weeks in the 2.6 timeframe, we would have resolved all the issues that we are currently seeing with the TT workflow at scale. Any questions on what you see on this roadmap? Anything I've missed? Anything that you feel shouldn't be there or should be there?
In terms of the Kafka migration to gRPC, is it something that we'll tackle in 2.7? Yeah,
I believe so. I mean, we decided that we really need the ONU adapter in Golang first before we can make that transition. And the ONU adapter in Golang, we are aggressively pushing for completion in 2.6. I'm really not sure if that'll happen in 2.6 to the level where we can truly replace the Python one, because it has to work for all 3 workflows and needs to be tested thoroughly. So it's aggressive to start with. And once that's in, that's something that we can, the gRPC transition from Kafka is something we can consider. Right, Ken?
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
That doesn't mean that you can't, I don't know, can the work start, at least in sort of a prototyping, proof of concept way, if you wanted to?
Yeah, that definitely that can start. It would just be like a 2.7 thing.
Yeah, it does seem like a 2.7-ish feature.
Yeah.
I think that as we discussed we can start the work in parallel just by leaving the existing Kafka implementation in and having it at the toggable option. And if it's there as a toggable option and it doesn't affect anything, we can even merge stuff within 2.6 timeframe. Just not gonna make the switch, I guess, before 2.7 timeframe.
That is a thought, yeah. What do you think, Ed?
I'll need to give you some thought, but I don't think a toggable option here would make sense. But I need to take a deeper look at it and see if it's viable.
Fair enough. Anything else? Anybody else has any thoughts, questions? Okay, then. If something else comes to mind for what should be as part of 2.6, please let us know.
Sorry,
yeah.
I was on mute. I don't see lag here. Is that something that we want to consider?
Yeah, good point. The deal with lag is that you can always include it in BAL, and we have a design for that in the sense that, you know, the OpenOLT agent will project the lag port as the only NNI port to the Volta stack. So to Volta stack and ONAS, you know, today we see a single NNI port, and in that case, you will see a single lag port. But physically, the single lag port, of course, is you know, across 2 NNI ports or more. And then to test that effectively, you need to connect those lag ports to the switch side, right? You have to have a similar lag on the switch side. The issue with that is that right now we don't have the means to test it. The switches that we use right now for lag support require a commercial version of software from Broadcom. A commercial version that they have actually stopped supporting. So we're kind of stuck over there, and the ultimate conclusion that we came to is that this requires a switch to using software that is, you know, not dependent on commercial licenses. So we've thought about moving, and in discussions with Netsia, we've thought about moving to P4 based switches. And but that's a little longer term issue, not near term one. So in principle, yes, the answer to your question, Girish, is that, you know, we can have lags in BAL and in OpenOLT agent, but we don't have a good way to test it yet. But if you know, Netsia is doing their own internal testing with sort of traditional networking hardware, then we can get it in. It's just what work do you think? There's a little bit of work actually in OpenOLT agent as well as in the Volta stack that we had. So yeah, maybe it's worth it then to put that as part of the features. Because those lags will have to be configured. The agent has to be aware of that. And then the lag port will be exposed as an NNI port, but it'll have the lag name in it. So that's something that we will have to account for as well. But we won't be physically testing the lag.
Thanks, Evan.
Anything else? Okay then, Andrea?
Yes. So please do take a look at the roadmap. Provide any comments if at any given point in time you guys have anything. Just put it on here as a comment. This is what we're going to keep as a master document, as we have done for 2.5, updating it whenever things get done and reworked and updated, moved. So please do check it if you're interested in keeping up to date on what's going on for the 2.6 release. So having said that, there was another point on the agenda, which was the investigation of the secrets, but as I told everybody what the status of things were with, I tried it out, deploys fine on Kubernetes cluster, and I'm able to generate the secret. I just need now to look at how to map it within the OpenOLT agent, and just need a little bit more time for this. And if you have any comments, more than welcome. There's still discussion, as Scott pointed out, that's happening within ONF about this, but we'll keep you posted. And if there is anything that the TST needs to discuss on approach, we will come to the TST for this. Okay. Any questions, comments before we log off? Okay, then if not, thanks everybody for joining, and I'll see you next week. Please do continue work with us on the email and the Slack, and let's get on with the great work we're doing. Thanks everybody. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.